Hey, it's Nick Funditis here from Ottawa, Ontario. I'm a realtor up here, and I'm just answering a question from user No Alfalfa 7562 on Reddit on what is it, the 13th day, April 2023. So his question is, Canadians are living in expensive houses these days and often complaining about high realtor fees. Yeah, I mean, I definitely read about those. If I owned a house that sold for 800 grand, I would be paying 25 grand to a couple of realtors. On the other hand, I could spend $1,250 on the realtor course in my province, $1,250, a few months on the job training, and list my own house. Sure, yeah. So even if I had to pay a desk fee for a few months or a few extra $1,000 for other expenses, I would be way further ahead than if I hired a realtor. I could also buy my next house myself and take a cut of the commission, thus saving even more. So realtors, am I out to lunch? Why aren't people trying this? So my answer here is, I mean, I don't know. Like it's a perfectly valid way to go. I would say what it boils down to is a combination of um, like risk tolerance and then time. So just keep in mind, well, I'll just break down my points below. So number one, getting a license is often more expensive. Now you quoted 1250. That, I mean, that may be what the cost is in your province. I don't know I'm based in Ontario. I don't know what it is in the other provinces. Here, it's all done through Humber College, and what I've been hearing from new realtors lately is it costs about $4,000 to go through that, and then you have, I mean, you usually have a couple thousand to get on with your board and your insurance and license fees. So let's call it kind of conservatively six. I've heard other people say it's about eight, but I mean, whatever. Um, to compete on a level playing field on the MLS, I mean, it's likely you're probably going to pay a percentage to the buyer's agent there. Now, you don't have to. I've seen other people on the same thread or in other threads say, you know, you don't have to. There's even, I mean, the guy who commented below me here, if this comment is still there, says you can deceive people. You can go put you can put a commission, offer to give a commission, and then you can take it away afterwards. I don't think that like fighting steering by doing something else that's also wrong is a good strategy here. It's not an honest strategy. But all to say, it is likely you will probably end up offering something to the buyer's agent. So whatever you offer, just kind of take that away from your net there. If it's 1% in this example, it would be 8,000, for example. There's a time consideration. So let's say a few months to get your license and stuff. I'm going to assume that you have a full-time job, you have responsibilities at home and taking care of the lawn. Maybe you've got kids, sort of thing. But you know, the Ontario courses, they say 9 to 12 months. You can do these much faster. But keep in mind, you've got to schedule exams, and I mean, you're spending it's time you're spending in a book somewhere where you could probably be making money, and just like there's a time value to your life to not studying and not taking another certification, sort of thing. So I think for a lot of people, that's the thing. Like, people's lives are pretty full already, and they, even though they could save money, like I could save money learning, you know, watching videos on how to maintain my car and change my own oil and stuff like that. But I mean, there's a convenience value in going to pay the mechanic to go do that, to go pay the mechanic to switch over my winter tires and stuff. Whereas I certainly can do it in the driveway. I literally have the tools to do it, and I have done it before when money was more of an issue. But at some point, I mean, for a lot of people, the convenience is worthwhile on spending the extra money. It does cost money to launch a listing, and I think that if you are planning on listing your own house, and a lot of FSBO for sale by owners do this because they want to save money in all parts, and I think your marketing is a bad place to save money. So pay a professional photographer, pay a videographer, get the 3D tour done. If you have, you know, if you have a residential home, get a pre-list inspection done so that you are aware of any potential problems. You can, if it's a good report, you can also share it with potential buyers, so you have a better chance of them getting off the fence and making list. If you have issues that you know your house is at, even if you don't fix them, pay a contractor to come give you a really good written estimate of what it costs to fix. These are all things where you can spend a little bit money now and it pays you back at the negotiating table. And marketing is the biggest of these. So really presenting it well, staging it well. make a huge difference in what a buyer perceives the value is of it. And really, that's what you're trying to maximize, is the perceived value to the buyer, so that the buyer gives you the most amount of money for the house. I mean, and all that stuff's going to eat into your net. We budget for all of our listings right now about $3,000. If it's on longer than a month, I mean, that goes up probably by about, I don't know, 1,000 every month if we have a few staging materials, and then with our running ads and stuff like that. And I mean, and then your time and stuff like always has a value. There are studies that say a professional experienced realtor gets a higher price for their sale by owner. So there's a negotiating factor here. Now, the commenter below again said something about, if that comment is still there, said that debunk these studies, but I have not seen any studies that say for sale by owner gets close or gets higher than a realtor. So even if you take away the commissions, I think in general you're still coming out ahead on the sale price with a realtor. So factor in, like, even if you just are conservative and you say, okay, it's going to make a percent of difference for me being experienced versus not being experienced. I mean, on your example, that's $8,000, right? So mark that on your net sheet. So this is why I'd say it comes down to risk tolerance. So you can invest the time, you can invest the money, and you're placing a bet on yourself that you're going to be able to make enough on the sale of your home to come out ahead on the balance sheet for the sale of your home. And $800,000 is a good, I mean, that's a good price point you've picked there. I would say if you're selling a house for $250,000, I don't know, maybe in rural New Brunswick or something like that, yeah, the math doesn't make nearly as much sense. But at 800,000, it's the point where, like, if I was not a realtor, I might be considering the math of this, and my wife would tell me is that I'm an idiot because I have some other full-time job, like if I was still teaching or something like that. And then you make a good point about getting paid the commission on the other side too. You're going to be taxed on any commissions that you make as well. Remember that's now income, and that's going to be added to whatever you make at your full-time job. So factor in that as well. It's not just all, straight profit stuff, and your brokerage is going to get a cut. And but just like do that spreadsheet for your own situation and figure out whether you're good with that risk. That's all that you need to do. If you see the main advantage of, realtor versus not realtor as access to the MLS, there are plenty of ways to get on the MLS for cheap without becoming a realtor. That seems like, going back to the mechanic example, like, don't go become a mechanic just so you can fix your own car. It's probably not going to pay you back once you have all your tools and stuff like that. And if all you really want to do is get on the MLS, there's plenty of cheap ways. So Zound I'm not really familiar with Zound. We don't see it here in Ottawa much. Maybe they're present. But there's for sale by owner companies in every city, every province in the country. There's a niche. They suit a certain type of seller who wants to sell that way. There's even auction companies that do it kind of the Australian way, not with an auction in the yard, but with, an online auction. We have one of those that was making big waves for a little while. Now that the market's changed, like, they've totally shifted again here in Ottawa. But make sure whoever you're using gets you on the local board. What we see in Ottawa lots of times is that we have Toronto-based for sale by owner companies will put something on the MLS and then it doesn't show on our local matrix. And that's a problem because a lot of the buyers are set up on a matrix search, which captures 99% of stuff, but it's hard to notice that one little house that's not on your matrix search when you're seeing 99% of the other things, and just like every day go match what's on realtor.ca versus the local matrix. So if you're on your local matrix, you're automatically on the MLS because that's where it gets pushed to the MLS. So make sure you do that. I would also say spend some money on a professional photographer. You can get a good 3D tour and good photos with a reputable company for probably about $300, $350. And that's going to make a huge difference in the presentation. I would also say pay for a staging consultation with a local stager, even if you don't use any staging materials, and you certainly don't need to use different materials. Just arrange what you have and declutter and depersonalize. That's probably going to cost you $200, and that's going to make a huge difference in the presentation of your house. So go and invest in those things if you're selling on your own. All to say, for sale by owner is a perfectly valid way to sell your home. For sale by owner as a realtor is a more expensive way to do it, both in terms of your time and your money. But if it makes sense on your balance sheet, I mean, absolutely go for it. I mean, go do that, and let me know how it goes. I would be super interested to hear the results of that, because I've never actually met somebody who just for their own one house and maybe the purchase of their next house has gone and done that. We hear about investors all the time who go get their license so they can be investors, and I think that's a great idea if you're going to be buying and selling regularly. But I mean, to do it for one house, that's totally up to you, and I would love to hear how it goes. Cheers. I hope you find that's helpful. If you want to see other videos that I've made for Reddit questions, I have a playlist on YouTube that you can go check out. My name is Nick Funditis. I'm in Ottawa, and yeah, or you can check out our website. Cheers. Bye.